3 o'clock. We did extend the executive session. There is no decision to be made as a result of the executive session. So now we're continuing on with our agenda. And our next topic is Mr. Larry Haskell, prosecuting attorney, talking about the licensing program.
Correct. So, oh, there it is on the screen. Okay, I didn't get a chance to review what we sent. I hope it makes sense. I am looking at it on the screen now. Gina has pulled it up. And I'll do the best I can to answer questions on that. Does that, I don't know, when did the board get this?
We got it around noon.
Okay.
Let me double check my email when I sent it out.
Maybe a little
Yes,
less.
can you open up column C though? So that way the numbers below
I
go.
sent it around 12:41, at 12:21.
Okay.
There we go. So Larry, can you, I apologize because I wasn't really following you yesterday. And so community relicensing, what is that versus, because I was trying to think, you know, when you're, I thought you talked about DV as well and different things, and so, and being over at the Y. So I'm very confused. And so can you explain to me again what community relicensing is?
Sure. So back to the blueprint then. So the first time that it popped up, the subject of relicensing popped up for the county. I think we previously had a program, but when the blueprint was approved, the county adopted it, and one of the there were like 5 recommendations for the prosecutor's office. And one of the recommendations was for us to start a relicensing program. And what that is for driving with license suspended 3rd degree, which is typically somebody failed to pay a traffic ticket, or they didn't show up at a hearing to contest or mitigate a traffic ticket, and then it automatically becomes committed. And if for any reason they didn't pay the fine, then what happens is Department of Licensing will suspend their driver's privilege and send notice to them to the last address that the department has on file. That's why there's a requirement that if you move, you're supposed to notify DOL within 30 days that you've got a new address, because that's the only way they're going to know that you're no longer at the old address, unless your mail still gets forwarded or something like that.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people who don't even know necessarily that their license is suspended. We have a lot of people, particularly here in Spokane County, a little bit of the problem is in the area of the inability to pay the traffic ticket, which later becomes then a criminal charge. So some people have said that it's like prosecuting people because they're poor.
Right. Well, and partly it's because they don't pay, and then there's added fees and other things too, correct?
Correct. So one of the goals of starting up a relicensing program was to give them an opportunity by meeting with a member of our office, or in the city's case, somebody from the city, and asking them to pay $100 because it costs $100 to get in. But from there, they will structure payments and that sort of thing to an affordable level so that this person can pay off that stuff and eventually get their license back. And of course, if they get their license, they're eligible to get insurance. But again, that all presumes that they're going to be able to come up with the money to afford that in the first place, which is always, subject to change and that sort of thing. A lot of people may have a license, but they can't afford mandatory insurance in the state either. So it's there's many facets to the financial piece, but the goal of the relicensing program is to get those people who are just only getting these D3s, as we call them. It's DWLS 3, but D3, and give them an avenue away from the criminal justice system to, if they will work with us, we will work with them to try to structure a schedule that they can pay off, get relicensed, get insured, and away they go. That's the theory. That's the goal.
No, because I know Head Start Construction, talking, to Mike there, that I think a lot of the people that end up in that program have their licenses suspended, and so they've worked to get their licenses back so they can get a job to then be able to move forward after they, do the 6-week training. So,
So
okay.
we after I got elected in 14, but before I took office in 15, I met with the city and we reached an agreement that seemed to be mutually beneficial because we were new, the county was new to relicensing again. And so we wanted to mirror, to the extent we could, the city program. So we kind of teamed up with them and we came up with this contract that expires here. Actually, it expired last year by its terms, but it had that clause in it that you got to give notice by the 1st of October. So what has happened since then, Commissioner, is, and I apologize for the late notice, I never come in here intending to break any rules or misrepresent anything whatsoever. I had no idea about the rule, the 1-week rule. I certainly got an education yesterday afternoon, though, on that rule. And so I apologize for that. But what was driving the timing here was 2 things. One, last week we had that Zoom meeting I was telling you about, where the driving a license 3rd degree came up among the elected prosecutors around the state, those at least that were in attendance. And everybody was talking about how they're handling them, because it is the lowest crime that we prosecute, even in district court, other than, as I jokingly said, if you have 2 fishing poles in the water, that's a misdemeanor. So we got that too. But anyway, side note. So we're looking at the cost of prosecution and the cost of defense for the cases that we don't put through relicensing. And like, for instance, King County said it was a ridiculous amount of money, taxpayer money, chasing people for their inability to pay their fines. So that got a conversation going about alternatives to traditional prosecution for a 3rd degree driving with license suspended. And most counties are using kind of a hybrid approach similar to this. If it comes in as a D3 and it's attached to a DUI or something else, we prosecute it. If they have fewer than 5, and this is numbers that were tossed out by the other electeds, then we'll offer them a relicensing opportunity. In fact, we'll always have a relicensing opportunity available. And if they are chronic, then we're back to prosecution. But if we get their attention with that, hopefully we can still steer them to relicensing, because that's ultimately what we want to do. We don't want anybody really to serve any jail time for driving a license suspended 3rd. Now, there's also a 2nd degree and a 1st degree, but those are different circumstances, and we're not talking about those. So the county has a few thousand of these come through in a year, And of course, the city bites off a good number of those themselves. So that conversation happened, and that was stirring my imagination a little bit here. The other thing is one of my employees, so the county contribution primarily in terms of personnel, we pay some other expenses relative to the program too, including copiers and stuff. But personnel wise, we supply a paralegal and a half of an LOA to relicensing, and they work in the city building. It is a management nightmare for me because I don't control their work, for one thing, and I don't see them very often. And so ultimately, that's proven to have some negative impacts. But having said that, the biggest thing that I learned, because my paralegal over there is taking the VERP and she's leaving, and we had a conversation with her, and she said, we are not busy at all, which means there's wasted dead time that they could be doing something for the county taxpayer much more valuable than sitting around over there in the city prosecutor's office, not doing a whole lot, because they're not getting many people now, and especially with COVID. And when COVID practices end, is going to be an interesting lottery to see when that happens. So Mark Sapola and I, we brainstormed this, and we have another gaping hole that is in great need of a paralegal full-time, and that is in domestic violence. And I mentioned yesterday, since I took over DV, since I took over the office when I was elected, DV has doubled in size in terms of the number of people that I've had to devote to the prosecution of domestic violence in Spokane County. It is a serious public safety and health issue in the county, and far outweighs what's going on in relicensing, especially during these times. So we did a little looking into it, and we felt that we could separate ourselves from the city, because it's no benefit to the county, and run an in-house relicensing program with one person who's not a paralegal, who's lower expense, and ship that paralegal position. It'll be a different person, obviously, because Pat Atala is in there now. She's going to VERP by around Thanksgiving. And moving that full-time paralegal, desperately needed, over to DV, where we're actually going to have some serious catch-up ability to do paperwork-wise for paralegal duties. And we'll still offer relicensing to be loyal to and honor the terms of the blueprint for reform. We'll get letters out. We'll do the hybrid approach that the other more populous counties are doing, so that we prosecute some and we offer relicensing to some, and we're also going to offer many of the other ones traffic infraction reductions via plea bargains, so that we can move those cases and reduce the amount of court time that would otherwise be taken up in a traditional prosecution. Again, nobody wants to put anybody in jail for a DWS 3, not the judges, certainly not the defense, and not us either, particularly because it's usually a financial issue. So in working through that, we realized we don't need this contract to be extended. We don't need to renegotiate this, because the numbers don't justify the resources that are being spent by the county for its share in light of the business that they're just not getting the business, Commissioner, quite frankly. So my proposal is, let the contract go, give notice, move relicensing in-house for our cases into my office, put an LOA, which is a cheaper employee on that. And we have one who's been working the halftime position in the city. So she's very familiar with the process. She's very familiar with the letters. And actually, it'll be supervised better because it's going to be in-house and it's going to be under the direction of my district court supervisor, for whom she directly works in any case. And then we will move the paralegal to DV, where it is much, much needed and much more effective use of a paralegal wage and salary package, which should be up there somewhere, than we're getting, having her basically sitting over there in her own words, not doing very much.
Okay, so what you have on the spreadsheet though is showing me that by in-house, the 74,000, but in reality, you're moving that paralegal 2 into another operating. So we're not saving any money, you're just shifting.
We're shifting money, but we're saving money in the sense of we're more effective at DV prosecutions than we are right now. So I'm certainly not asking for a position to be cut. I mean, if I had a full-time paralegal over there now, then we could cut this paralegal. It wouldn't be a problem. But I need that paralegal over there for the DV prosecutions, which just grow daily.
Yes, okay.
So that's the best recitation I can give you.
Oh, no, that makes way more sense than yesterday. It just wasn't.
And again, Commissioner, I apologize. I had no idea about the rule. It wasn't a planned gotcha or anything like that. It kind of evolved as the date approached, and then the Zoom meeting last week, and then digging into this a little bit to see how we could organize this and do it ourselves in-house, as opposed to having basically some wasted resources sitting at the city.
Jerry?
I don't know how far into or what the arrangement is with the city, but if you do this, do you have to notify the city? Who do you notify? Do they show up one day and see an empty desk and wonder what happened to the person? How does that process work?
No, we notify them via letter. Jim's been working on it.
Okay.
And the requirements are that they get that notification by the 1st of October.
Right, that's why I've got, if the commissioners grant this, I've got the letter already. That's what the stack I was looking through, the boss was talking about the spreadsheet up there. So we're ready to go on that. And if the court, or excuse me, if the commissioners grant that today. So we're ready to go, because we're going to send it both by delivery and by email, so that we can, it requires us to notify essentially Justin Bingham and Nadine Woodward. So I've got it. And Jerry.
You know, and quite frankly, I mean, I suppose we could continue to do what we're doing, but I'll tell you.
No, Larry, I was just trying to get clarification.
Okay. No, I was just going to say the alternative is it's just not. If the county's going to spend the money anyway, in all honesty, total open, total frank, as I always have, it's better spent with this proposal than it is the way it is being spent right now.
Yeah, no, and I was just clarifying that, based on the spreadsheet, it shows that we're going to be down a paralegal 2. And so we were saving this money, but we're not really saving the money. We're just shifting it to another location that needs it. So
that's correct. That is correct.
I'm just was seeking the clarification. So thank you.
No, and if that was, maybe that was Caitlin just outlining the costs and the fact that they're not there, but that paralegal is desperately needed over in the DV for all the reasons that you guys know.
Okay. Josh, any questions for you?
I think I understand it. I appreciate the deep dive today, Larry.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. And I apologize again. I was totally embarrassed yesterday when I realized that you guys had a 1-week rule.
No, that's.
I'm blaming Kaufman though, because he's my rep over here. So that's it.
No, Larry, we keep score and we'll get you something. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So,
Wait till you see your budget.
Gary, help!
What I need is, Josh, need a motion authorizing drafting and signing of a letter notifying the city. I'm sorry, Mary, go ahead.
So just wanted to make sure, so then have we talked to the city about the fact that we're looking at doing this, or is this a surprise to the city? I guess that's then my next question, now that I understand it.
I don't know that it'll be a complete surprise. We talked to them recently and expressed some concerns over the work and stuff, but I did not say the magic words. First of all, because we hadn't done our homework yet completely, and I knew I was under a time crunch to get to the board. So in terms of actually getting it's still good. We're still committed to the end of the year though, right?
Yes, well, and that's part of the motion that
So we're stuck to the end of the year regardless, so this won't take effect for another couple months anyway. So they'll have lots of notice as far as that goes for transition purposes. But again, they won't have to deal at all in any way, touch or otherwise, any county cases any longer. So they'll only be dealing with city cases in any case.
And that is in the letter that Jim drafted, that it goes to the end of the year.
Right.
That it goes till the end of the year to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, because then we've got, us. So did we do everything then for the valley as well as?
Correct. Yeah, we have the Valley contract as part of our responsibilities, and we will continue to handle Valley cases consistent with this plan.
Okay, so we'll be doing that with them.
Correct.
So what are the sorry, just all the questions that I'm thinking. So what are the numbers? You said it's about 2,000 total, you said earlier.
Yeah, I don't want to be held to an exact number. I know that it's many cases. We actually went back some time ago and cleared out several thousand cases from sector where.
I don't know who put the spreadsheet up, but we don't need the spreadsheet. I'm talking case numbers.
Let me get back to you with an exact number to the best of their ability. I'll have to get back. But it's in the thousands.
But is it like half city, half county? I guess that's.
I don't know. I don't track the city's numbers.
Okay, because I guess we have to make a decision today to then determine that we're pulling out of the agreement, but the agreement goes, because we have to notify them by Thursday, which this is the last time we're together, and then
it won't expire until the end of the year.
December 31st, Mary.
okay.
So there's time for dialogue and other issues if that comes up.
Yeah, I can't imagine, honestly, with them not having to touch any of the county cases anymore, that they would have an issue because they have a staff over there to specifically to do the city cases. Our people were there to do the county ones primarily anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion. Need a motion with your mic on.
Mr. Chair, move to approve drafting and signing of a letter to the city to notify them of the change in the relicensing program, that the county will be bringing it in-house and will not be a part of the joint system, with them to be signed by a majority of the board at other than open public meeting. Did that hit everything?
If I could mention to the commissioners, I had drafted and sent to earlier a motion on that. I thought you got, so.
Oh, I do not believe I did receive a motion. Let me take a look.
Hey, Josh, I think it's your email.
I'm looking. From Jim Kaufman?
It'd be from Ron. I sent it to Ron.
Oh, I thought, Josh, I'll do it.
So if you want, Josh, I can read
Go
the
for it.
motion.
Yeah, you go for it.
Want to make this. This is what you might want to say, Josh. Looking for a motion to terminate the county's participation in the relicensing program for the city of Spokane as most recently set forth in Spokane County Resolution number 19-1275, and to authorize the interim chief civil deputy prosecutor to send the appropriate notification to the necessary parties immediately, and further move that details terminating that contract by December 31, 2020 be handled by the county's chief executive officer and the appropriate parties in Spokane County Prosecutor's Office.
Yes, so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Great motion, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah, I try.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Yeah.
Thank you, board.
We will be notifying you of the appropriate retribution, so.
Understands your right.
It's a sliding scale there.
Yeah, sliding scale.
Will there be lashes associated?
Well,
Mr. Coffey will probably get
depends.
some latches.
This Wednesday, yeah.
All righty. That completes all of the business coming before the board, unless you've got any other miscellaneous items you'd like to bring forward? No? No? There's always one. I tell you, there's always one. All right, Jerry.
An answer to an earlier question about the defibrillators. We do have 4, and currently they're located. One's in risk management, one is in the sheriff public safety building, one is in the police public safety building, their section of it, and one's on the facility building on the 2nd floor. That's where they're located. So Mary, apparently there isn't any located in the courthouse. You're on mute, Mary.
So, okay, or the Public Works Building.
Yes.
And then elections is one that having it over in risk management.
Covers the public defenders and the election probably.
Yeah, but that's kind of a ways away if you need it right away. I mean, that's.
You can buy more and redeploy. We can deploy.
Or they can move the one for risk management over to elections.
Yeah.
That's where you have the bulk of the people are attached to that versus the risk management side.
Well, Bartell is getting pretty old though. I mean,
Yeah, John brings up, instead of just a suggestion, maybe we just buy 5 to 10 more and deploy them. There should be one in the Public Works building too.
Right, no, that's what, yeah. So I think we need to.
We have enough money to buy a few more, don't we?
Sure.
That's why I like Gary.
Yep.
Gary says we got the money. We're good.
You found the door.
I've heard in the past that it's an issue between risk management and facilities and then the cost. So I think that you need to ensure that everybody's on the same page, but I would like to see one in certainly every building. And I think, the one in risk management, if we're only going to have one over there, I would have it over in the elections area just because that's where you have more people that are in potential need. But hopefully you could buy a few more. That would be great.
We'll get together with the folks that need to be involved and we'll come back with a recommendation of how many and where they be located. And how much they'll cost. Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Anything, any other miscellaneous we talked about? So just share with you a piece of information. I learned today that the coronavirus has lasted longer than anything else we've ever gotten out of China. So just kind of a point of information. So with that, we are adjourned. Thanks.